More than 2,000 years ago, an empire rose from the heart of Italy that would shape the world forever. Its system of laws became the blueprint for modern justice. Its incredible network of roads laid the foundation for global infrastructure, connecting cities and cultures like never before. Its highly disciplined armies rewrote the rules of warfare, creating tactics and strategies still studied today. This empire didn't just conquer land, it built a civilization. This was the Roman Empire. Imagine a small city, nestled on the banks of the Tiber River, growing from a humble settlement into a republic, and then into the greatest empire the ancient world had ever seen. Its influence stretched from the misty shores of Britain to the sun-scorched deserts of Egypt, and from the Atlantic coast to the plains of Mesopotamia. Rome wasn't just a place. It was an idea, a symbol of power, order, and innovation. But how did this incredible civilization rise to such heights? We'll explore the legends of its founding, the genius of its engineers, the might of its legions, and the brilliance of its leaders, from Julius Caesar to Augustus. We'll walk the streets of ancient Rome, stand in the shadow of the Colosseum, and see how Roman culture spread across 3 continents. And just as fascinating as its rise is its legendary fall. What brought this superpower to its knees? Was it barbarian invasions, political corruption, economic collapse, or something else entirely? The story of Rome's decline is a dramatic saga of civil wars, plagues, and epic battles that eventually led to a collapse that still captivates and teaches us valuable lessons today. This is the complete story of the Roman Empire, its glorious rise, its unmatched power, and its spectacular fall. Join us on this epic journey through history. If you're fascinated by the ancient world, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our deep dive into the story of Rome. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Have you ever wondered how Rome became one of the greatest empires in history? It all started with a tiny, vulnerable settlement around 753 BC. Picture this: a small village on the Tiber River, completely surrounded by powerful enemies. For these early Romans, every single day was a fight for survival. But instead of being wiped out, they learned a crucial lesson that would define their future: adapt or die. They were masters of observation. When they fought an enemy, they didn't just aim to win, they studied them. They copied their best weapons, adopted their smartest tactics, and even borrowed their political structures. But they didn't just copy, they improved, innovated, and perfected everything they took. This relentless drive to learn and adapt from their rivals is what turned that small village into an unstoppable force that would eventually conquer the known world. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more history. Ever wondered how Rome became a powerhouse? It all started when they said goodbye to kings and created something new: the Roman Republic. Power wasn't in one person's hands anymore. Instead, they had the Senate, the consuls, and the assemblies all working together. But the real game changer? The legendary Roman legions. These weren't just soldiers. They were the backbone of Rome. Every single legionary was highly trained, incredibly disciplined, and fiercely loyal. And they didn't just fight. Wherever they marched, they built. They laid down roads, constructed massive forts, and founded cities, literally paving the way for Roman expansion. First, they conquered Italy, and from there, their influence spread across Europe, changing the world forever. It was this combination of smart politics and unmatched military might that set Rome on its path to greatness. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more history. Have you ever wondered how one person could change the course of history forever? Let's talk about a man who did just that: Gaius Julius Caesar. This wasn't just another Roman in a toga. He was a force of nature, a military genius, a masterful politician, and a man with an ambition so vast it would reshape the world. Imagine this, a brilliant commander leading his legions through the wilds of Gaul, what is now modern-day France. For years, he fought, he conquered, and he built a reputation that made him a legend. His victories weren't just about territory. They were about creating an army that was fiercely loyal to him, and him alone. Back in Rome, the Senate grew nervous. This man was becoming too popular, too powerful. They gave him an ultimatum: disband your army and return to Rome as a private citizen. But Caesar had other plans. In 49 BC, he reached the banks of a small river called the Rubicon, the legal boundary of his command. To cross it with his army was an act of treason, an open declaration of war against his own country. What did he do? He led his soldiers across, uttering the now famous words, "The die is cast." There was no turning back. A brutal civil war erupted, pitting Roman against Roman. Caesar, with his tactical brilliance and battle-hardened troops, emerged victorious. He marched into Rome not just as a general, but as its undisputed master. He became dictator for life, a title that shattered the very foundations of the Roman Republic. He enacted popular reforms. He reformed the calendar, the one we still use today. He granted citizenship to people in the provinces, and he started massive public works projects. He was loved by the people, but feared by the aristocracy, who saw him as a tyrant who had destroyed their centuries-old traditions of shared power. This fear and resentment festered in the halls of the Senate. A group of senators, calling themselves the Liberators, decided that the only way to save the Republic was to eliminate Caesar. On the Ides of March, March 15th, 44 BC, they surrounded him in the Senate House and stabbed him to death. They thought they had saved the Republic, but they had actually sealed its fate. Caesar's assassination plunged Rome into another round of bloody civil wars. When the dust finally settled, it wasn't a republic that emerged, but an empire, led by Caesar's own adopted son, Augustus. Julius Caesar's life was a whirlwind of ambition, conquest, and betrayal. He was a man who dared to reach for ultimate power, and for a brief, shining moment, held it in his grasp. His actions brought an end to the Roman Republic, but also paved the way for the Roman Empire, a legacy that would dominate the Western world for centuries. One man truly did change everything. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this journey into the past, don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories from history. Ever wondered how one person could change the course of an entire empire? After decades of chaos and brutal civil wars, one man rose from the ashes, Augustus. He wasn't just another general. He became Rome's very first emperor, marking the end of the Republic and the dawn of a new era. With Augustus in charge, the constant fighting finally stopped. This kicked off a period so peaceful and prosperous, it got its own name, the Pax Romana, or Roman peace. For the next 200 years, Rome flourished. Imagine an empire stretching across Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East, with over 60 million people living under its rule. This was Rome at its absolute peak, a superpower of the ancient world, all thanks to the stability brought by its first emperor. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more history shorts. Ever wonder how Rome built such a massive, long-lasting empire? It wasn't just through conquest. The real secret to Rome's success was its incredible ability to unite diverse peoples. Think about it. First, they built roads, amazing roads that connected everyone, making trade and travel easier than ever before. Then, they introduced a standardized set of laws across the empire. This meant everyone, from a merchant in Gaul to a farmer in Egypt, knew their rights and obligations. But here's the genius part. They offered Roman citizenship to conquered peoples. This gave them a stake in the empire, a sense of belonging. And crucially, Rome didn't try to erase local cultures. They allowed people to keep their own gods and traditions. Instead of destroying, Rome absorbed. This brilliant strategy created a deep sense of loyalty that held the empire together for centuries. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more history insights. Imagine a city so rich it could buy the world. That was Rome. Gold poured in from every conquered land, bringing unimaginable luxury. But this flood of wealth wasn't a blessing. It was a poison. While Romans bathed in perfumed oils and feasted for days, the very discipline that built their empire crumbled. The legionary's sword rusted, while the politician's purse grew heavy with bribes. Corruption became the new currency. The throne itself became a poisoned chalice. Emperors rose and fell like puppets. We had madmen like Caligula, cruel tyrants like Nero, and a long line of weak, ineffective rulers. The great Roman eagle was no longer soaring. It was sick, rotting from the inside out. The greatest threat to Rome wasn't an army at its gates, but the decay within its own golden walls. If you want to dive deeper into history's epic tales, make sure to subscribe. Ever wonder how an empire as mighty as Rome could just fall? It wasn't one single event, but a slow, grinding exhaustion. Imagine this. Rome, the superpower of its day, was getting hit from all sides. To the north, you had the Goths. To the south, the Vandals were causing chaos. And then, from the east, came the Huns, a force of nature that terrified everyone. Defending against all these threats required a massive, expensive army. So, what did the emperors do? They raised taxes, and then raised them again. People were stretched thin, and their faith in the empire started to crumble. It wasn't that Rome wasn't strong anymore. It was just tired, overstretched, and bleeding money. A perfect storm that eventually brought the giant to its knees. What do you think was the biggest factor? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more history breakdowns. Have you ever wondered what it's like to watch a superpower crumble? Let's turn back the clock to 476 AD, the year the Western Roman Empire officially fell. But here's the thing, Rome wasn't built in a day, and it certainly didn't fall in one. For centuries, the cracks had been showing. Rampant corruption hollowed out its government. The empire had stretched itself too thin, becoming impossible to manage. Its economy was in a tailspin, and a long line of weak and ineffective leaders couldn't stop the bleeding. It was a perfect storm of internal decay and external pressures. But did Rome truly die? Not exactly. Its language, laws, architecture, and ideas became the bedrock of Western civilization. In many ways, the spirit of Rome is still alive all around us. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more dives into history. Have you ever wondered what the Romans did for us? I mean, besides the roads and the aqueducts. Well, it turns out, a lot more than you might think. We live in a world shaped by an empire that fell over 1,500 years ago. Think about our legal systems. Many of our core principles, like innocent until proven guilty, come directly from Roman law. Look around at our grand buildings, the domes, the arches, the columns. That's Roman architectural genius, still inspiring us today. Even the words we speak are full of Latin roots, the language of the Romans, and our ideas of republics and senates. Yep, you guessed it, straight from ancient Rome. The Roman Empire may have collapsed, but its ideas didn't just survive. They conquered the future. It's pretty amazing, right? If you enjoyed this, hit that subscribe button for more history that's still alive today. Thanks for watching. Have you ever wondered what makes a great empire crumble? It's not always invading armies or natural disasters. Sometimes the seeds of destruction are sown from within. Take the Roman Empire. For centuries, it was the most powerful force on the planet, built on a foundation of unyielding discipline, from its legendary legions to its civil engineering. Roman discipline was the engine of its expansion and the glue that held it all together. But what happens when that discipline starts to fade? Complacency creeps in, luxury replaces hardship, and the core values that built the empire begin to erode. The fall of Rome wasn't a single event. It was a slow decay, a lesson written in history for all to see. Greatness is achieved through discipline, but it's only maintained by remembering why it mattered in the first place. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe for more.